So today I'm going to deliver my speech in English. I'm going to do this within 10 minutes, but of course what I need to cover is more than 10 minutes can do. So I cannot guarantee I will finish it by 10 minutes. I'll try. Actually, before I came here, I prepared my speech because I was worried that people may have some concerns about the Chinese market. So actually, when I was planning, I wanted to talk a lot about the potential of the Chinese market. But after I've been here, nobody is really worried about the future development of China's farm market in the next 5 to 10 years. Everybody is very optimistic about China's future. Actually, I hold exactly the same view. I believe there are many opportunities in the Chinese market, especially in recent 2 years. There are major reforms taking place in China. Part of the reason is from the policy side, and leadership of the Chinese government has also brought some new changes. But on the other hand, from the government to the policy, everybody is very clear that we are not able to survive without changing ourselves, without reform. Therefore, I think it is not necessary to talk about the potential of the Chinese market anymore. I want to spend more time to talk about what these changes and reform mean for the Chinese market in the next few years, and also the investment opportunities in China. I don't really think this is only an opportunity for investment. This is really an opportunity for business. So what are the major changes caused by these reforms? And this morning we have a friend who talks about that Chinese farm companies are lagging behind in introducing their own new drugs. I will say there are many reasons for this problem, and actually starting from today, we have seen it is really necessary for us to speed up the innovation of drugs and new medicines. Because first of all the farm companies in China, they are losing their profit margin. It is caused by policy changes and also the institutional reforms in the Chinese market. But I think the core reason, the cause of this lowering profitability is that we cannot rely on the low-cost advantage anymore. And nowadays, the multinational companies, they have they enjoy very high profitability because their medicine are patented. So for the Chinese government is also encouraging us to develop new medicines. I think this might be a major threat for MNCs. And second, the innovation of new medicines. We realize that in the past, the investment in actually R&D of new medicine is very low in China, especially compared to foreign companies. Usually, if we can have a 10% R&D investment in R&D, it is already very high. But multinational companies, they have been developing this for many years. Their investment, their talents, their training. So a lot of the Chinese companies, they want to do the same, but they wanted to find some shortcuts. But it's not possible in the farm industry. So you have to invest in both capital and the time to develop your capability in this area. Now the government has issued some new requirements which will force the farm companies in China to raise the quality. So at the same time, the cost is also rising. So with a higher quality requirements, the profit margin becomes even smaller. So the question is, under this pressure, is it still possible to make money in Chinese farm market? I think yes, there are still opportunities there. Besides the farm market, I also want to talk about medtech, which includes medical device and intrusive diagnostic. For foreign investors in China, I think maybe there are more opportunities in the medtech market compared to the pharma market, because compared to the medicine market, the medtech market is still lagging behind. For some products, the R&D of medtech seems easier, but if we analyze the development history of this medtech equipment, actually, we realize the Chinese companies are even further lagging behind. The gap between Chinese companies and the foreign companies is at least 3 to 4 times larger compared to the gap between Chinese farm companies and foreign farm companies. So I think in this area there are more opportunities. But for a medtech company, if they want to come to China, because they are smaller in size and they are less experienced in the large range of products, it will be difficult for them to come to China directly. I think there is a better approach, that is to work with a Chinese partner. I can promise you this medtech market is a very promising market in China. And we can also discuss which segment is more promising than the rest. In China, just now I talked about both farm market and the medtech market, so I want to explore these two markets in more detail. For the farm market, I want to draw your attention to a policy called the MAH. This is a policy implemented in H, and another policy, ICH. So these two policies, what do they mean? In the past, the production and the registration have to be combined, but now these two can be separated, so that while we do the clinical trials, we are allowed to use the data from abroad. So with these two new policies, Chinese pharma companies, they will have more opportunities in the global market. They are able to leverage the global resources more efficiently. So I'd like to remind you, especially our friends in Switzerland, when you are doing research of a new medicine in the stage 1 and the stage 2, you can already try to approach the Chinese partners, so that when the medicine is ready, it can be launched in the Chinese market at the same time. This is a new policy, so that we will shorten the introduction time to shorten the introduction of a new medicine to the Chinese market. And I'd like to point out some hot points. For example, some disease. For example, the aging population. Related to the aging population, because China has such a large population, we account for 18 to 19% of global population, but our medicine market is quite small compared to the Chinese population. And today we actually have spent a lot of time to talk about the percentage of aging population in China, and the number is increasing rapidly. So while the people is aging, what opportunities will emerge? A lot of opportunities is in the oncology market. Some people might ask, what's the relationship between oncology and the aging problem? Because it takes a long time for cancer to develop. So that's why the more older you you get, and it's more likely you will have some sort of cancer. We are not only talking about big cancer like breast cancer, lung cancer, but the other cancers, actually, in China, the survival rate within the 5 years, after 5 years in China is much smaller than that of other developed market. So first of all, the market is large enough, and second, the survival rate in China is still lagging behind. So there are many opportunities, and there are also chronic diseases such as cardiovascular disease, diabetes, and etc. I'd like to remind you, you should not only look at the medicine only related to these diseases, but other products as well. For example, for diabetes, of course, medicine is important, but because diabetes will also cause other complexions such as your kidney and your liver. All of these organs will also have problems, because they can all be because diabetes can cause damage to these organs as well. So while you are thinking about the diabetes, you should not look at the diabetes only. And on this short, for example, there can be insurance product which aims to prevent the occurrence of the complexion of diabetes. For example, I just want to give you an example. Besides the disease, I think China's market is very interested in new therapies. For example, like cell therapy and immunology therapy. For the small molecules therapies, foreign companies have accumulated many years of experience. But actually, when it's about large molecule therapy, biotech, actually Chinese companies are not really that lagging behind. For example, in my company, we also have a project. We did research. There are more than 200 Chinese companies who are involved in these new therapies. So in this more advanced area, Chinese companies are not really that lagging behind. For these new areas, the Chinese companies are not really that lagging behind. And also for the regenerative medicine and stem cell and genetic therapy, and also microbiological therapy. All of these are new areas, and you can find many Chinese companies who are also involved in the research of this area. About medtech, earlier I have said China is particularly lagging behind. And we find that in European markets, there are a lot of progress in the medtech development, especially on the clinical level. So I think actually we can learn these lessons and these ideas from European ideas. For example, like the non-intrusive surgery or minimal intrusive surgery. Because of list of this kind of surgeries, they are not covered by the national insurance. So people are very interested to find a good therapy which can provide the same result but with less cost. But I think with those more advanced medtech, actually this can be achieved. Besides the medtech, we can also try to think about integrated solution. Next, I'd also like to talk about the diagnostic. When we talk about cancer oncology, I said that the survival rate is only half of that of the foreign countries. I think 50% of the reason is caused by the diagnostic, because when in China, when it is diagnosed, actually it's usually quite late. So maybe I think there are interesting products. For example, we can use a mobile phone as a hospital, and also some diagnostic device that people can use at home, or portable device to do the diagnosis, and also wearable devices. Of course, these areas are not mature yet, because a lot of, for example, a lot of wearable devices are more used like a toy, but the potential is quite good. So that is my introduction about the market. Last, I would like to save some time to talk about my company, Fosun Group. Actually, it's a very famous company. Actually, our chairman's photo is hanging on the wall outside. My company, the group is an investment group, but we don't invest for the sake of investment. For Fosun Farm, we established 3 years ago, and very quickly we became public company in the China's stock market. That is a very good opportunity for us to go public at that time, because that is a good timing for us, so we can develop very fast. And we try to streamline our business. So the number one focus is on the pharmaceutical. And we sell some non-core business to another company. Now our business is very focused, manufacturing and hospital. Manufacturing means manufacture of pharmaceuticals, and also medtech, and also diagnostic device. This is about 90% of our sales. Another 10% revenue from hospitals. We also have our own hospitals. Recently, the Chinese leader Xi Jinping has also talked about encouragement of the investment in hospitals. Last year, we have invested a lot in R&D. R&D budget is more than 10% of our sales. This is quite rare among the Chinese companies. The area we are interested in is antibodies and molecule therapy, and also we try to produce some biosimilars in China, because so that we can provide affordable medicines for the Chinese people. And at the same time, we are also looking for opportunities to cooperate, because we know we don't have all the capability to do everything. Actually, what I wanted to talk about is the internationalization of my company. For some people, the internationalization means to sell the products abroad. But for us, it is not like that. In our process of development, we don't have the time to build the capability from scratch. So how can we leverage the global resources, such as by mergers and acquisitions, so that we can increase our capability in a short period of time? That is the reason for our internationalization, because sometimes we don't have the one competence within China, so we have to look for this outside of China. I'm not sure if people is going to ask me this question later on, but I want to talk about the challenges that we face. Oh, maybe I should save this for the discussion, for the Q&A session. Okay, thank you.
谢谢。